Is it too much to ask for a good Windblade? The Generations Legacy line continues to expand to surprising releases with old and more recent versions of characters. This includes the very recent Cyberverse series, which was only taken over recently by the TV series Earthspark. Windblade was a major player in the show as one of Bumblebee's best friends. As the series began, Bumblebee had lost his memory, so it was up to Windblade to help him learn what happened. This also marks 10 years since her first toy after she was created by Hasbro and fans. In typical Windblade fashion, she transforms into a sleek red jet. This is a better take in hand, even if the surrounding parts around the cockpit seem bulky. There's a lot of bold red going on, but the black comes in on various places like the edge of the wings. Initial images may look too busy for some reason, but it's not too bad in hand. Despite the arms tucked in and the shins on top, there's a decent enough flow and it flattens down pretty nicely. I like the narrow nose, the small wings, and the boosters, but I prefer the canopy in the stock photos. Now, why do I have a Windblade army? On the surface, there's panel lines with divots for details, there's landing gear, painted turbines that can turn, and boosters that not only can hold blast effects, but you can sandwich the sword for a swift and thin purple blast effect. This little jet seems to work better than I expected, and I'm glad to say that. It's swift, pretty clean, and does what's needed. Robot mode. Windominus Bladius has never been better, and I really mean that. The original was cool for its time, but you start to see the cracks, especially with the heels. Robots in Disguise was close, Titan's Returns just didn't sit right, and the Warrior wasn't great. This Legacy United figure is exactly what I wanted. There's decent color orientation as the red overtakes it. I like the shins, the blue throughout, bulky shoulders, and the wings which can adjust. I'd recommend flipping the turbines to keep the paint. I know the backpack is huge, but it's not bad in person, and it's far from a deal breaker. The head does feel a little off at the face, but the paint is certainly there with the gold backing, blue highlights, red decoration, and iconic headdress design. Did someone say articulation? Ball jointed head, shoulders out and in, forward to back rotation below, elbow bend, wrist rotation, waist rotation, hips out and in, forward to back rotation below, knee bend, toes, and foot tilt. There's something very different about the tolerances in Legacy United because this figure stands pretty well, which considering her first run is saying a lot. I only wish the knees and hips had more range, but that's about it. Let's take a look at the accessories. Buyer beware, the paper wrap in the box contains her headpiece that not only plugs onto the back of her head, but can also plug in the hand as a fan. She also has her iconic and classic sword that's more sporadic and wavy this time. There's 2 pegs on the side to store on either side of the hip. So when I initially saw her revealed, I was very skeptical about the figure. Perhaps the images just weren't flattering, or it could be my disappointment in Windblade figures over the years. None of them just really nailed it for me. This, on the other hand, despite being listed for the Cyberverse Universe, is now my ultimate Windblade and is now my representation of her in my collection. If you need a definitive Windblade, look no further, we finally have it. I like to use the fan and say, "Oh lordy, I have the vapors."
Allspark TV. Now that's just prime.